Eskimo Brothers review number 22.
Double deuce.
Doing something different. A documentary, Johnny Carson, the King of Late Night. Usually we give it like a brief synopsis a little bit at the beginning here, but it's Johnny Carson's life told over 2 hours with a big all-star cast. I don't know what the proper word would be.
Yeah.
A lot of people interviewed, narrated by Kevin Spacey. The basic thing that I think makes it a little bit different than other documentaries is it kind of goes back and forth between clips of the show and then you learning about his life, and then sometimes the clip will be like relevant to what they're talking about. Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, so I grew up after the Johnny Carson era, so I never really watched any full episodes. I've seen clips here and there, but I've always been a fan of stand-up comedy and late-night talk shows. Pretty much every night in the summer, when there wasn't any school, I'd have to stay up late and watch Conan O'Brien. He was always my favorite. I watched Jay and I watched Conan, and so I always had a like and interest in things like this. And I've always heard of people discuss Johnny Carson as, you know, the best. He was the best of the best, and he was the king of late night. And so I was interested to see what was all entailed in this, and it was, yeah, I learned a lot. Yeah, I knew nothing about the man, and then seeing the talk show format and seeing just him and his life and everything, that was really introspective. So I thought, yeah, overall I thought it was a good documentary. It was from PBS, I think it was. Yeah. So, and all their documentaries amazing.
Yeah,
they're always
it's pretty good.
Yeah, always really informational and keeps you interested. So so overall I really liked it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really well put together, and you learn a lot, and it's very funny.
Oh yeah. It's because there's a lot of things because of the date. There's a lot of things that I thought wouldn't be as humorous. I thought, you know, the information and jokes might be a little dated, which some of them kind of were, but at the same time there were some that kind of, I mean, we're still funny, you know, today as of right now, 2021. So I thought that was really nice. Again, I didn't know really anything about Johnny Carson, so it was interesting to see, like, they went through his early life and his relationship with his family, and kind of how, at least pretty much the relationship with his mother, how that really affected all of his life, and just pretty much everything he did. And it showed his growth from, you know, a shy kid to someone who got a little confidence through different hobbies, like becoming a magician and doing card tricks and stuff like that. He kind of came out of his shell and really enjoyed the attention he got, and the way people treated him with that, and he was the star, and he kind of broke out like that, and just he kept going on through writing and through the Tonight Show. He just kept, you know, doing his same thing. He was, what a lot of people said, he was still pretty shy and a pretty private person, but, you know, once he gets on that stage, it's completely different. He's like a performer, and he is really good. Probably the thing that I just first noticed was the way he conducted interviews, and it seemed like he was actually interested and paying attention, and it seemed like an actual interview. Like, there's questions, there's answers. I grew up at the Tonight Show with Jay Leno, and a lot of the conversations weren't really that deep. There was a lot more like silly jokes and just like, hey, what's going on in your life now? Like, what movie are you doing, or what song are you performing, things like that. But seeing how Johnny Carson talked to his guests, there was like a connection, and it was human. And there was a lot of people that, you know, described him as being like authentic and just like a genuine, like, caring person, and that definitely came through to me.
Yeah, I liked, especially with the clips from The Tonight Show, it showed he had a great ability to improvise. Someone could say something that they thought was going to be like a funny punchline, and then he would come up with something
even better.
Yep.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that. He was really impressive with those.
Because you could tell that stuff isn't scripted by how hard they're laughing.
Yeah.
They're genuinely
Yeah.
laughing and enjoying him and the guests. They're enjoying each other's company. And
Yeah. And just the overall, like the timing too. Like Shadow Man and I all the time, like we just, one of us will come up with something, and then seconds later there's something much better that comes up, and it's like we know what's going on. Like we can see.
Yeah.
And that's my problem with a lot of film and stuff these days is so many of it. You'll go on YouTube or on the TikTok like the kids like, and you'll see these blatantly disgusting scripted videos that are supposed to be like surprise and shocking, but the acting is god awful and it's so terrible, and you can tell. But like with that, it's authentic. Like there's a real, like, they came up with it this quick. Here's what it is, and it's funny. It doesn't have to be written. There's it's insane how good it is compared to other things. You mentioned how it went like back and forth through like stories and clips.
Yeah.
And for the overall like documentary, I really did enjoy the clips, and it's showing like his different talents he had,
Mm-hmm.
and the different things he was really good at. Like they showed he was an amazing drummer. They showed he was a great magician. That he was in skits, and he could play different performances, different acts, and they also showed his flaws, and how what comes with celebrity, and there's good and bad.
Mm-hmm.
And especially he was a kid from Nebraska, kind of grew up not like a major city or anything, not like the star. It was kind of different, and you could see how that celebrity lifestyle kind of affected him. And it was also like he said there was like a star-studded kind of like cast or whatever. There was so many different people. It was people like ex-wives of his, family members, people who worked with him on the show, people who worked for NBC or the other companies that whatever show he was on, or whatever network. And there was just a whole different cast of people, other late night talk show hosts, other comedians, actors, and they all put in their 2 cents. And I thought that was really nice, because you got to see not just a handful of people, or could be maybe slightly biased in one way or another. Like you had people talk about the good times they had with him, the bad times they had with him, who he was as a person, and you could see like how so many people thought a certain way about him, or so you knew who he was. Like you knew he was like a caring, sweet person who might have had some issues growing up in the past, and that caused him to go into like alcoholism and like having sometimes anger issues and other similar things. So it showed just the duality of man, and how there's good and there's bad, but no one's ever pure good, no one's ever pure evil. It's always, it's gray. It's not like black and white, it's all gray. So
He goes through like he ran the Tonight Show from 1962 to 1992, and for every one of those 30 years he was number one in his time slot for 30 years straight.
That makes
over all divorces, anything, any kind of stress you happen in your life that sometimes derail people. He was number one the whole time.
It makes you like violently ill thinking of how impressive that is. Just time after time. Because that's decades, that's different generations. Like things change, and how you can continue to keep, being on top of the world. No matter what, no matter how many wives you have, or what's going on in your life, or the presidents and conflicts, and like not in the United States, and just everything all together. Like he was able to continue being the best of the best. So it's really impressive. I also, yeah, enjoyed how a lot of the celebrities and just a lot of the people talked about how influential he was to them and how important he was, how he helped their careers, how he just kind of helped them, figure out things about themselves and just, just the way they are, and how, just how amazing he was and how he kind of jump started them. So I thought that was nice that he was just so influential to so many people. And me growing up, I didn't really know anything about him. I just knew he was a talk show host, and that was it.
And he's so universal, like almost universally liked.
Yes.
And there's no one to compare him to, because like when you say Jay Leno or Letterman, you typically think of one or the other, together. They were
Yeah.
they competed.
Yeah.
There was no one even to like. I mean, few people tried, but they'd be off the air in under a year.
Yes. Yeah. It's. Probably the last thing I'll say about this was that I do like how they just showed how diverse he was as a person, and how how he could be sometimes like cold and like maybe angry, or he could be flirty, he could be playful, just good day, how just how different he was, but how he was, like Shadow said, like still universally really liked. Like all that stuff in his personal life, private life, whatever, didn't really matter, because on stage he was Johnny Carson, and he stayed that person on stage every single year. So that, yeah, overall, like it was a quality documentary. I enjoyed watching it. I learned a lot, and it was impressive.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything left to say. So, I guess all that's left is to ask what is next for us.
Well, I'm glad you asked.
I have a feeling I'm not.
Episode 23. Are you guys ready? Is everyone ready? Camera on. Is that all right? Good. All right. Episode 23 is going to be another one of my personal favorites, starring Daniel Day-Lewis, Leonardo DiCaprio, and you can even throw in some Cameron Diaz in there. It is the 2002 film Gangs of New York. I've seen it two or three times, and zero over here. Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
So Shadow doesn't know anything about it. I know it's a great film. Oh, one of my favorite parts, there's John C. Reilly in there. He's not even funny. He's an actual dramatic actor.
You could just cut that out and just post that little spot right there. John C. Reilly is not even funny.
We might very well do that. But yeah, so please join us next time. Episode 23 will be Gangs in New York. Great film. Thanks for sticking with us, and farewell. There's John C. Reilly in there. He's not even funny.